Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome to meeting number 88 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Canadian Heritage. Today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format, as you know, pursuant to the House of Commons order on Thursday, June 23rd of 2022. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 1082 and the motion adopted by the committee on Tuesday, September 20th of 2022, the committee is meeting to continue its study on safe sport in Canada. We have the Honourable Kirsty Duncan with us for the first round. Before, if you don't mind, Honourable Duncan, we do have a little bit of budget to look at. We have the request in front of us here. In order to conclude the study of safe sport in Canada, a supplementary budget to be drafted and distributed to members on Wednesday. You did get this yesterday. Is it the will then of the committee to adopt a supplementary budget in the amount of $6,250? It is? Okay, approved. What's that? Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. Ms. Gladue?
I was just going to move approval of the budget. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. So said. Okay, we have some time restraints. What is the will of the committee? I'm suggesting one round, each party, for the 6 minutes for Ms. Duncan after her 5-minute statement. Is that okay with everyone? And then we'll go into hour 2 and play it by ear. Mr. Julian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I just wanted to make sure it was okay with Ms. Duncan as well.
Good. Okay. Welcome then, the Honourable Kirsty Duncan. It is so, to be honest with you, we're very happy to see you. Okay? I'm sure it took a lot of courage for you today to come to committee instead of video conference. Thank you for coming in person. We did hug you. We did have some conversation. So if you don't mind, the floor is yours now, Honourable Minister, and 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee and colleagues, and thank you for the kind and warm welcome. I want to thank you all for undertaking this important study. I must also thank the extraordinary athletes who not only made the year 2022 the year of athlete advocacy and courageously came forward with their stories of abuse, but also the athletes and their families who have come forward over decades. We owe them our gratitude, and we must do everything in our power to address the many, many years of abuse and entrenchment of that abuse: emotional, physical, psychological, sexual, and verbal abuse. Canada's national sports system was never built to protect athletes and young people. It was built to have fit men for war. And after Canada, quote, failed to win a gold medal at the 1976 Montreal Olympics, sport changed in our country. We felt it across sport and right down to the club level. The goals had changed, and goals were to compete for Canada and to win medals for the nation. In the 1980s, some sports federations and coaches put the health, safety, and well-being of athletes far behind winning. Athletes were experimented on. They inserted fake bladders with clean urine, and young athletes injected older athletes between their toes with performance-enhancing drugs to hide the drug use. The 1988 Dublin inquiry into the use of drugs and banned practices exposed the rot, the extent of the rot, and made dozens of recommendations that government implemented and made Canada a leader in the war against doping in sport. We need that same leadership now. Our athletes should not have to beg for over a year now to do the right thing and move forward with an inquiry into an outdated sports system. In 1988, an inquiry was called in less than 2 weeks, and it cost $3 million. My first recommendation is that the government hold an independent, comprehensive, systematic inquiry focused on the health, safety, and well-being of athletes. Second recommendation, a systematic inquiry needs to start with athletes, be trauma-informed, and survivors must be fully empowered to speak their truths should they so choose. In the 1990s, hockey player Sheldon Kennedy bravely came forward with revelations of years of sexual abuse at the hands of his junior coach. His story should have been a wake-up call to the Canadian hockey community and to the entire sports system. It wasn't. I come at this discussion from the perspective of a high-performance athlete. As a gymnast, I did double back somersaults in the air from the floor. I ran the Boston Marathon many times, and I competed in half Ironmans. I've been a coach, a dance teacher, and a judge throughout my life. And as you know, I also served as the Minister of Sport, and I made safe sport my #1 priority. In the year I served as minister, I put in place the first broad strokes of a safe sports system, including a national helpline, a third-party investigator, an agreement from every sport minister across Canada to make safe sport a priority, 13 safe sport summits, mandatory prevention and training and funding, and the development of a coaching code of conduct. Third recommendation, the spoken and unspoken rules of each sport, power differentials that exist among the National Sport Organization, coach, trainer, medical support members, and others, the concept of owning athletes and prioritizing winning championships over athlete health, safety, and well-being need to be investigated. Fourth recommendation, Sport Canada's safe sport measures and accountability and financial instruments developed to ensure compliance need to be examined. Fifth recommendation, national sport organizations and their collective power need to be investigated, as well as governance, accountability, and finances, and how sport leaders circulated among NSOs and reinforced relationships and protections. Sixth recommendation, an inquiry reviewed data on all forms of abuse in sport on a sport-by-sport basis. My last and most important recommendation is that a thorough investigation be undertaken about whether cases of abuse were effectively resolved, were perpetrators removed from the system, or were passive enablers in place who protected the sport and the organization over the protection of young people. The time is now for a national public inquiry. If Canada gets it right, we can better protect our athletes. We can also be a catalyst for a long overdue global conversation on athlete health, safety, and well-being, as we were in the aftermath of Dublin 35 years ago. And with your indulgence, Mr. Chair, I would just like to say very briefly to those who are living with cancer, know that you're not alone and that I stand with you. And I am grateful for the life-saving medicine, science, and compassionate and excellent care of our healthcare professionals. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And thank you very much. So we'll just do the one round. We do have a vote approximately 5 o'clock, as you all know, give or take, as you know the House, how it operates. So we'll go just to a 6-minute round. All 4 parties will have 6 minutes. And Ms. Duncan, if after that you want to have a closing statement, you're more than welcome to. We'll start with the Conservative Party, and I have Ms. Gladue on video conference. Marilyn?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Duncan, for being here today. You were the Minister of Sport. You were a gymnast, a coach, a judge in competitive sport, and you have seen firsthand all of the abuse that we've been hearing about from athletes and organizations. And you've been clear that you think we need a national public inquiry. So what is your hope? What do you think we would get out of that inquiry?
Thank you, Ms. Gladue, and I hear congratulations are in order to you and your family on the birth of a new granddaughter. I am hoping that with an inquiry, we will see what we saw 35 years ago. What that inquiry did, we have a precedent with former Chief Justice of Ontario, Charles Dubman. He took a systematic approach. He left no stone unturned. He looked at everything from athlete rights, multiple sports, policy, procedures, finances. And what he did was expose the rot and the extent of that rot. And he made dozens of recommendations. And that government chose which ones to implement, and it really led to, he opened the world's eyes to doping in sport. And I think we have an opportunity here. As hard as it will be, and you folks have all done the hard work this last year, listening to these brave and courageous athletes come forward and hearing their stories, and it's hard. And these stories are decades old. This has been going on for decades. But if we do not have an inquiry, we will not get to the bottom of this. In sport, abuse is decades old, it's entrenched, it's complex. In some cases, it's athletes who are abused and harassed by coaches and judges and other support staff. In other cases, it's athletes who've become predators and assault those only tangentially linked to the sports system. And then in other cases, it's athletes abusing other athletes. It's complex. And the only way to get to this complexity is through a national public inquiry. I think we are finally at a moment in time where we cannot lose this moment. There is an understanding that this is a problem, and we cannot afford to fail our children. The time is now.
Thank you, Ms. Duncan. I think we were all shocked when we saw the Hockey Canada incident that came out 5 years ago. And you had begun the very good work of putting in place a national help line for sport to report abuse, third-party investigators, and a number of measures. But then the government decided to shut down the Ministry of Sport. And now we're seeing that the government has not really embraced the national public inquiry. Why do you think that is?
As you know, I served as minister from 2018 to 2019. And Ms. Gladue, you're right. In 2019, the position of the sport minister was eliminated. At that time, I did ask what we would be doing on safe sport going forward. And I was told that we had to get back to what sport was really about. I said, so not protecting children. And I think what we've seen in the last few years, you've seen athletes who saw some momentum, and then there was a hiatus, and I think there was frustration, rightly. And 2022 is really the year of athlete advocacy. I think what we've also seen through this committee is that there has been some absolute resistance to moving forward on safe sport initiatives. I can tell you I faced it from Hockey Canada. There was resistance to move forward with the helpline. I'm not sure why anyone would resist a helpline where athletes could call from across the country to say what their issue was. There was also real resistance to the third-party investigator.
Resistance from the government.
This was actually, I'm saying in some cases, it's from sport itself, and the examples I'm giving you are from sport. And I think what you've shown in this committee is that there has been real resistance to some changes in the sports system, and this is why your work and that an inquiry going forward is so important.
And I appreciated, Ms. Duncan, the actions that you suggested, and certainly the committee will take those under considerations. Is there anything else that you would recommend that the federal government do to address this longstanding abuse that we've seen in sport?
Thank you, Ms. Gladue. I think the most important thing is to get a national public inquiry underway. Our athletes are asking for it. It's time we really listen to them. We hear what they say the issues are. I think it's important to ask hard questions, and we have to gather the data and the evidence. You know, back in 1988, that investigation took less than a year, and we've lost a year of protecting athletes. So let's move forward with a national public inquiry that is trauma-informed.
Thank you, Ms. Duncan.
Thank you, Ms. Gladue. We'll move to the Liberal Party now, and Lisa Hefner. Lisa, for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, my colleague, the Honourable Kirsty Duncan, for being here with us today. You and I have spoken about these issues already, and I know that when you were named Minister of Sport, the key thing in your head was, this is about children. This is about protecting children, and they were always foremost in your mind. You taught children. You were a dance teacher to children. That was your whole world. So tell us about, I mean, you've talked to us a little bit about the things that you implemented as sports minister. Tell us a bit more about that and how you kept children and protecting children in the forefront the whole time.
Thank you, Ms. Hepner. And you and I have talked long about these issues. My life was coaching and teaching dance outside of teaching at the university. My whole life was devoted to young people. And I really believe that every athlete should go to practice excited, looking forward to practice, to being in the gym, on the field, or on the rink, that they should look forward to being physically fit, to being trained by good coaches who want to develop good athletes and good people, that they enjoy sport and that they share the love of sport. But I also know the darker side of sport. And while I have not experienced the horrific abuse that you have heard at this committee, I am a former gymnast. And you know what? I know what it's like to be told to eat Jell-O, laxatives, toilet paper, and water pills, what it's like to be weighed and shamed. And I wanted to do everything so that no young person would ever face that going forward. And that's why I said that my number one priority was ending abuse and safe sport. And I said to the sport community and to officials, we're drawing a line in the sand. And the days of hear no evil and see no evil in sport are over. We have a duty of care to our athletes, and that we need to make it easier for athletes to come forward, and that there's a responsibility to get the perpetrators and the enablers out of the system.
Would you tell us what it's been like for you to watch these committee hearings over the past year and see the sorts of testimonies that we've heard at this committee?
I really want to thank this committee for their work and for what you've been hearing. It's hard to hear. For some of us who grew up in a broken system, these stories, the system was never built to protect athletes. And then it was about winning medals and international competitions. And then you had some sport federations turning a blind eye to the abuse that was happening. And I talk about steroid abuse for one. I think about Sheldon Kennedy coming forward. This is decades of abuse. And now is the time to give our athletes the space to ensure that an inquiry is trauma-informed and that we listen and we hear their issues. We get as many recommendations as we can, and we build a safe sports system going forward.
And it's complicated, as you well know as former minister, because a lot of these abuses are happening at the local level or at the provincial level. So what do you think is the role of the federal government in this?
When I served in the role, you're right. the federal minister is responsible for our Olympic and Paralympic athletes. And the sports system is complicated in this country. And I knew that if I wanted to change things on the ground, I had to work with ministers across the country. I called each one at a time, got them on side. We had teleconferences, and by the time we got to the Winter Games, we were able to sign the Red Deer Declaration, which is the first time in this country all ministers committed to work on safe sport. And I believe that safe sport needs to be on every federal, provincial, territorial meeting going forward.
That was a perfect segue to my next question. Can you tell us more about the Red Deer Accord and what was decided there?
Well, it took a lot of work, and to get all ministers committed to taking action in their provinces on ending abuse, discrimination, and harassment. I mean, what I'd like to see going forward, as I said, is that this be on every federal, provincial, territorial meeting. I'd like to see the data. I would like to know, I know when I was able to put in the telephone line, the helpline, we now started getting actual data on abuse in this country. I think we need to see that from the provinces and territories. I want to see it by sport, what it looks like for emotional, physical, psychological, sexual, verbal. I want to know if those cases are going up or down. Are they being effectively managed? Are we measuring whether these cases are being effectively managed? Do the claimant and the defendant feel that they were treated fairly? Has this been happening over time? How many of our families, coaches, support staff are going through yearly training on safe sport? We need all that information.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to the block for 6 minutes. Video conference, Mr. Lemire. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Chair. Ms. Duncan, I'm very moved to see you here today with us and to hear your testimony. You have been someone who has made a tremendous contribution to sport, and I think there is a new movement within the sports community in Canada to have an inquiry, and we are those who are wanting to organize an inquiry, and thank you for your efforts in that regard. And I'd like you to talk about your experience. You were Minister of Sport. What was the most important thing that you did as a Minister of Sport?
Thank you, Monsieur Lemire. And again, I want to thank you for your efforts. I want to thank the efforts of everyone at this committee. I think the hardest thing back in 2018 was literally drawing a line in the sand and starting a new conversation in this country around safe sport. This had been a taboo subject for many, many years. So to start that conversation and to say, look, the days of hear no evil, see no evil were over. And I'm going to take you back to October of 2017. The Me Too movement was making headlines around the world. In January of 2018, USA gymnastics team Larry Nassar received an effective life sentence after abusing over 150 gymnasts over 2 decades. And I was appointed minister a month later. I did receive surprise that I was going to tackle safe sport, and there was pushback. But as I said, I can't have come from the background I come and have witnessed and spent my life protecting children without starting that conversation. And I think what your committee has done is you have raised this conversation to the national level, and I think the time is right to have this national public inquiry. Thank you, Monsieur le Maire.
You were, when you were Minister of Sport, perhaps you might have been able to launch a public inquiry and the problems with regard to human rights violations and the culture of sports. These are things that you know. Why didn't you start an independent inquiry at that time?
Thank you for the question. It's an important question to ask. I had one goal, and that was put in as many protections as I could in the time available to me. When I came in, I mean, we started at you needed to have a policy. You needed to have a third-party investigator. We were starting from zero. So what I was literally building the start of a safe sports system. And we've made progress, and we have many kilometers to go to build that safe sports system in this country. And that's why that inquiry is going to be so important. I think it's really the next step. My job was to put in the protections. I also knew when I looked at what happened in the United States, that should have provoked a national conversation on numerous sports. It didn't happen. It looked like it was always going to be a sport-by-sport reckoning, but my job was to put in place those protections. We're at the right place. It's the right moment in time now for that inquiry. Let's not fail our children.
I've trying to often see that there's a parallel between that period and the situation of Judy Wilson revolt and the efforts from some ministers to stay on the right path. And do you think it's the same thing that might have happened? Was there any pressure from you or on you or from others or from the sports world to stay in the promoting winning and sport and rather than the protection of the athletes?
When I came in 2018, there was no mandate for safe sport. I chose to do this. I chose to do this because as much as I love sport, I live sport. It's where I come from. It's where I get to twist somersault through the air, and it's where I get to marvel at the talent and commitment and dedication of our athletes. But I also know a darker side, and so I was determined that I would work on this. It was not always easy. I was lucky to have someone from outside of government who was very committed to safe sport. When I went to Korea for the Olympics about 2 weeks after being appointed, and I was asked what I wanted to do, and I said safe sport from officials. There was surprise, and I sort of took us through, we've had Me Too, we've seen Larry Nassar, I'm a former gymnast, I know this world, but there was surprise and there was pushback. But as I said, there were also pushback from some corners of the sport community. And I think, again, this is why the inquiry really matters. We have to shine a light on the darkest recesses of the sports system if we're going to make change. And the only way to do this is through an inquiry.
Thank you,
Merci,
Mr.
Madame.
Lemire. As we know, we got 30-minute bells, so we have some time yet. Yeah, is it okay for the committee to continue with Mr. Julian? And then we'll hear maybe closing comments from Ms. Duncan. Is that fine? Okay. Yeah, Mr. Michael? Yep.
If we, it is 4:45 right now. If there's 30 minutes to the bells,
Yeah.
and then there's obviously a 20-minute period, we're not going to get to the second round, correct?
I'm hoping to get to some of it.
But if it's is it a hard stop
No,
at
we don't
5:30?
have a hard stop at 5:30. We actually have a stop at 6, if it's of the will of the committee. Anybody else? Video conference, what do you guys think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? What do you think?
If the witnesses for the second panel can stay, I'm fine to go to 6.
Okay. Good. Okay, 6 minutes. Go ahead, Ms. Thomas.
Sorry, Chair, just on that note then, if I have this figured out correctly, then we're going to have to vote then at approximately 5:15. The voting process, the earliest that this committee would be able to come back would be 5:35, which would then leave us with 25 minutes for that second panel. They would each have 5 minutes for opening remarks, which would leave us with a total of maybe 7 to 10 minutes maximum to ask questions.
And that's assuming we get it's at 5:35. It could be 5:40, right?
Yep. Mr. Julian.
Well, we could agree by unanimous consent to vote by app. In that case, we have a 5-minute recess.
Yeah, well, let's, everyone can think of, Ms. Thomas?
Sure. I'm wondering if perhaps this then, if we've, sorry, I do want to be quick here. So if we have 25 minutes left, I would, sure. So I would suggest this. Maybe we finish with our final round with Kirsty Duncan, and then allow her to do closing remarks, should you wish, Chair. And then perhaps we allow our next panel, because I believe they're ready to go. Why don't we allow them to do their opening statement and then go to votes? Unless, of course, we could have unanimous consent from the committee right now that we do agree to vote electronically, which I would be totally fine with.
Fine? Good? All right, we'll do that. Thank you, everyone. 6 minutes, Mr. Julian. Time is yours.
Ms. Duncan, it's so good to see you. We miss you, and we wish you all the best and speedy recovery. And thank you for being with us today. I wanted to talk to you about what you endeavored to bring to the sports ministry, because it is very clear over the course of the past year. We came into this study looking initially just at Hockey Canada, and then the further we looked, the more serious things became. I note that you really made a serious attempt to address these issues well before they were part of the public domain, and I thank you for that. And I wanted to quote from CBC News. This is back on January 27th, where you said that the government, and I'm quoting the article, failed to build momentum behind your efforts to prevent harassment, abuse, and discrimination, and that you said that you even faced pushback from people within your own government when you made tackling abuse a top priority of your time as sports minister. Could you describe a little bit more how that, you've talked about NSOs and their pushback. Could you talk a bit more about pushback from the government?
To your point, and thank you, Mr. Julian, for your kindness. It's good to see all of you, too, and it's nice to be back with you. To your point, it has been sports' dirty secret for decades. This was not a well-known issue unless you came from sport or you had lived through this. And for some people who were from sport, they felt that my doing safe sport could damage sport. We saw this back in 1988. There were people who thought if there had been a Dublin inquiry, this would damage sport. But sport continued. Paralympics and Olympics continued. Sport got stronger, And our athletes were stronger because of that inquiry. I think there has been fear in some corners about going forward with a national public inquiry because it could damage sport. But I think we have a real opportunity here. We have, yes, it's going to be hard. This past year has been hard. It's been really hard. And you're going to hear whoever does the inquiry, should there be one, it's going to be more hard stories. But ultimately, sport will be better for it.
You mentioned when you first really undertook these efforts that there were some voices saying, let's get back to what sports is really about. You also mentioned in your testimony that the sports system was never built to protect athletes. If you were sports minister today, what would you change? Having the wealth of that experience, knowing the pushback both from within your government but also from within sports organizations, how would you change the approach as sports minister so that we can really ensure safety for all athletes and for the public?
Thank you, Mr. Julian. I have to recognize we do have a sports minister, and I am grateful that she actually brought back safe sport onto the agenda because it had disappeared. And she's brought it back forth, as has this committee. I can only talk about my time when I served in the role. And as I said, it was difficult. It's not easy to start a new national conversation and talking about things that have been for far too long, taboo. It's been taboo to talk about that athletes have been treated as chattel, as commodities, that their main purpose was to win a medal and preferably a gold medal around their neck. These were taboo subjects. So we now I really feel that we are at a moment in time, and it has taken time to get here. The work you have done has really elevated this conversation, and this is the time. We cannot afford to lose this moment. Our athletes are waiting, and they've been waiting for 50 years.
You've followed the hearings, both with Hockey Canada, but we've also seen other national sports organizations like Soccer Canada, where there's been significant resignations from some of the individuals that may have helped to perpetuate the system that you're speaking about. What is your reaction when you see, for example, Hockey Canada, the board of directors and the CEO resigning? What does that tell you about where we're going?
We have a well-known hockey coach here and a much-loved hockey coach, and I'd like to recognize that. When I met with Hockey Canada, I addressed hard issues with them. I addressed not only abuse, but I also addressed lack of funding for women in hockey, and I addressed the lack of funding for persons persons of all abilities in hockey. The culture of, and I was clear at the time, the culture of entitlement and toxic masculinity is not new in hockey in Canada. When I was an athlete in my teenage years, early 20s, we heard about the junior A hockey players, the drugs and alcohol away from the arena. We heard about, and pardon my language, and I quote, the bragging about how many puck bunnies some guy bagged on the weekend. Where were the adults in charge? Where were the leagues, provincial and national associations demanding of their members principles of common decency? And I think that Hockey Canada has failed over and over to see the abuse, discrimination, and harassment in hockey and to take sufficient action on issues that have played out over decades in the media.
Thank you, Mr. Julian. Thank you, Ms. Duncan. Did you want to say anything to wrap up here? We normally don't do this, but in this case, I'll make the exception.
Thank you, Mr. Waugh. I will take 1 minute. I will say thank you for the warm welcome back. I have missed you all. And I really want to recognize all of you and the work you have done over the last year to elevate this long-held dirty secret in sport, to make it a national issue. It is because of your efforts that we have reached a moment in time that we can't afford to wait. Our athletes are begging us, saying we need this national public inquiry. Some of them have spoken at 2 committees. Let's all work together. There's an opportunity here to change sport in this country and to start a global conversation around athlete health and safety. And I thank you all.
And we thank you. And if we were all judges, we'd probably give you a 10 here today. For committee members, we're going to have a short turnaround if we can, and we're going to hear from Sail Canada and Gymnastics Canada. I think we can get it in before the vote at 5:15, so we'll make the quick 2-3 minute turnover, and they're both by video conference, and then we'll hear from our second panel. Thank you. We'll be back in about 2-3 minutes. And Hugh McGugan, the chair of Sail Canada. So Dawn and Hugh, welcome to the Heritage Committee. You have 5 minutes. I don't know how you're going to split it up, but after 5 minutes, I'll interject, and then we'll go to Gymnastics Canada and Ms. Smith. So Mr. Adams, Mr. McGugan, the floor is yours. Away you go for 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to speak on behalf of Sail Canada, at least in the opening remarks. Thank you for this invitation today, and thank you for the work this committee is doing to create a better safe sport system. Thanks to Honorable Minister Duncan for leading this process and getting it underway, and her leadership within the sport community was critical. This is a very important topic for us to address. So, Sail Canada was established over 90 years ago, and we've always been a driver in development of safe sailing practices in Canada. We welcome Canadians from all ages, all abilities, and all interests, from recreational sailing to competitive sailing. Our tagline is sail for all, sail for life, and sail to win. We're very proud of our world-class athletes, but we're also very proud of every other sailor within the system. We have, over time, achieved 9 Olympic and Paralympic medals. Sail Canada works with 380 independent member organizations from coast to coast, including provincial sailing associations, sailing clubs, schools, class associations, each with unique needs and committed to providing a safe sailing experience. On the competitive side, the international racing rules of sailing have always enforced reporting and disciplinary actions for maltreatment in sport, including penalties as far-reaching as lifetime bans from the sport. Sail Canada feels it is a leader in safe sport, and we have been charting a course of best practices even before signing on the Office of the Sport Integrity Commission last December. Following Minister Duncan's lead, we have taken her recommendations seriously. We modified our harassment, bullying, and discrimination policy in 2019. The same year, Sail Canada formed an Inclusivity, Diversity, and Equity Committee, and also created policies to address that area. We've also, under Minister Duncan's lead, created the hotline. We hired an independent third-party investigator. A lot of work is being done in this area, but obviously more can be done. Sail Canada is an international safe sport leader. Recently, we witnessed some world sport federations make decisions, including hosting competitions in countries not protecting all communities. Sail Canada took action and sent a letter to World Sailing, where we called upon them to ensure we are working together to support, protect, and include all communities who take part in sailing competitions. Sail Canada supports the federal government's push for better safe sport environments, and last December announced that Sail Canada would be one of the first to join the Abuse-Free Sport. We signed in December and put it in place as of March the 1st. Sail Canada went beyond the requirements of the Government of Canada in terms of scope, and we worked with our provincial partners to create a harmonized safe sport policy for the whole sailing community, not just those at the national level. Sail Canada hired a safe sport officer to update and implement our safe sport package and work with and assist our provincial partners, sailing clubs and schools in implementing these policies. We require Sail Canada requires all staff, national committee volunteers, certified officials, certified registered coaches and instructors, and all participants of Sail Canada regional and national championships to consent to our new code of conduct and to the UCCMS and be subject to OSIC if a complaint is lodged. Sail Canada has set the tone for safe sport training across the country, providing seminars to staff, volunteers, officials, provincial sailing association staff, presidents, and about safe sport for years, and requires all staff, instructors, coaches, and officials to complete safe sport training. We recently presented a 3-hour training session, which included participation from our national team athletes, our development squad, coaches, and support staff, where we focus on how to protect themselves from any safe sport issue and how to file a complaint if they felt they were being abused in any way. As of today, 6 provincial sailing associations, excluding Quebec, who has their own system, have passed the safe sport policy package and are in the process of rolling out to their member organizations. Over half of the member clubs and schools have adopted safe sport policies and are working to do so, and the rest are working to do so. There's still a lot of work to make sure safe sport objectives are efficient and attainable and are able to guarantee an environment free of harassment, abuse, and any other harmful conduct. We see that the following key objectives that will ensure success for all NSOs. Ensuring there's a harmonized safe sport system in place for the whole system at the club, provincial, and national level to avoid duplication and confusion of which system is to respond depending on the jurisdiction. Supporting coordination from all levels of government, which Minister Christy referred to in terms of the Red Deer agreement. To achieve these safe sport objectives, conduct cultural audits to confirm the effectiveness of our system and explore opportunities for improvement.
Can you wrap
All
it up,
national sport
Mr.
organizations-
Adams? Can you wrap it up? You're past 5
Sure.
minutes.
Okay. All national sport organizations need to work together to get more women involved in sport and other marginalized groups. And finally, I mean, all sports, need the support of the federal government to deliver on these objectives, to support our Olympic hopefuls and increase the diversity and welcome the various diverse groups into the sport.
Okay,
Thank you for
Mr.
this
Adams,
opportunity,
thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chair.
I'm going to move on. Can we just get Wendy Smith, welcome to the Heritage Committee. You're late in coming in, but the technical staff would like to just to see if the audio is okay. So I'm going to shut my mic off, and they're going to ask a few questions of you here.
Okay, I hope that you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I'm getting a little head shake. Would you be able to just tell me a little bit about the weather?
The weather in Manitoba is very nice and sunny. Perfect day.
I actually need a little more from you, Wendy, so maybe just give them a paragraph, talk about gymnastics and how well we're doing in the country here.
Actually, sorry, before you do that, I'm told
Yes.
You'll need to select your microphone. So on the bottom left where you see the microphone, you should have a little arrow.
Yes, yes. And which microphone do you want me to select? The
What do you
Jabba
see right now?
Evolve 2? I see same as system or microphone Jabba Evolve.
Yes, so is the Jabra Evolve selected?
I've selected it just now. Is it better? You need me to speak some more?
So you should have a section that says select a microphone and select a speaker. Just make sure it's selected for both.
Okay. It's selected for both now.
All right.
Is that
and,
better?
Would you be able to just say a few sentences for me?
Sure. I'm the chair of Gymnastics Canada, and I'm residing
Oh,
in
thank
Winnipeg.
you. That's actually all I needed. I got a thumbs up for you.
Thank you.
Okay, we actually have a vote coming up in about 6.5 minutes, Ms. Smith, but you're only going to get 5 minutes, and then we're going to suspend for the vote, and then we'll come back after the vote and have questions and answers. But you have 5 minutes to talk about Gymnastics Canada. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you regarding the very important topic of safety in sport. My name is Wendy Smith, and I'm the newly selected chair of the Board of Directors for Gymnastics Canada. GymCan is fully committed to providing a safe sport environment, inclusive and free from maltreatment, discrimination, and potential harm for all of our community, most importantly athletes, but also including coaches, judges, administrators, and volunteers. Providing a safe experience is viewed not as an option, but a necessity to ensure a positive environment for the growth of athletes and other participants. To that end, GymCan has made a number of changes in the past several years to address safe sport manners in a more coordinated and transparent manner. Specifically, GymCan has worked with our provincial and territorial organizations to update and align all safe sport policies and procedures. We've implemented a reciprocity agreement across the country to ensure that all member provincial and territorial gymnastics associations are reporting and sharing information related to the outcome of safe sport complaints. This is including the publication of a suspended expelled members list. We've collectively worked with other sports leaders, the SDRCC and Sports Canada, towards the implementation of independent case management systems across the country. We've worked together with our provincial and territorial partners on safe sport education initiatives at all levels of the sport. At the national level, GymCan has signed on to the OSIC Abuse-Free Sport Agreement that provides for a nationally coordinated and fully independent complaint management process. We've identified a full-time staff role dedicated to leading safe sport programming, and we've hired Dr. Casey Neely, an individual with significant experience and knowledge in the area of safe sport, to fulfill this role. Dr. Neely has a proven ability in the improvement of safe practices and safe environments. We've initiated meetings and educational webinars for all national level participants focused on a greater awareness of a safe and welcoming sporting environment. This education is ongoing and is being expanded to include administrators and officials. We've continued to update our policies and procedures as they relate to the implementation of all safe sports programming, including case management. We've signed on to the True Sport movement that promotes fairness, inclusion, excellence, and fun in all sporting activities. We've worked closely with the Coaching Association of Canada in updating our coach education materials to properly reflect the latest safe sport research and methodologies. We've engaged the McLaren Group to provide an independent review and the cultural review roadmap for gymnastics. We've reviewed and structured our internal practices from hiring to evaluations and relationship with the community. We have implemented many of Minister St. Onge's recently announced measures for accountability, specifically but not limited to board diversity, term limits, athlete inclusion, and financial transparency. GymCan is dedicated to separating the past from the future to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself. In addition to the previously mentioned actions, GymCan is recruiting a new board designed for changing the future, with emphasis on change management, communications, and strategy, with the intention of supporting both the sport and the business of gymnastics. We're in the process of hiring a new CEO with experience in strategic change and a demonstrated ability in implementing cultural change. We're embarking on addressing the McLaren Group report recommendations. Finally, GymCan would welcome a public inquiry into safe sport practices in Canada. At the current time, national sports organizations are undergoing significant change to address safe sport practices and culture. However, these changes are happening largely in silos with little shared experience between the sports. A national public inquiry would help to align sports organization and leverage learnings and effective policies to hasten the improvement of all sports environments. Thank you once again for the opportunity to address this committee.
Thank you, Ms. Smith, along with Mr. Adams and McGugan. Here's the procedure we have now. We are going to vote virtually in the House of Commons, so we'll do it right here. But we need to suspend for about 20 minutes. So I wish you stay on, because when we're done and wrapped up after the vote count, we'll come back right away and start our 6 minutes questions with the Conservatives, Liberals, Bloc, and NDP. So we'll suspend the meeting if we can for about 20 minutes, or how long it takes the House of Commons to count the votes. So thank you very much. We'll suspend now. We have registered our votes, and they're counting them now. They still have 5 minutes and 11 seconds left. I don't see Mr. Julian in the room. I'll wait till Mr. Julian comes back, and then we'll start the 6-minute round. So we'll just give him a couple of minutes, and yeah, we'll suspend till Mr. Julian comes back. Decided to do a one round with Sail Canada and Gymnastics Canada, and we'll start with the Conservatives for 6 minutes. Rachel Thomas or Richard Martel? Yeah, I think you're going to split it, so away you go. 6 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair. Sure. So just in the interest of time here, my first question is going to go to Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, I'm just curious. Of course, we know that there were some pretty significant allegations that came against Scott McFarlane, a coach for Gymnastics Canada, and that happened in 2018. He was actually charged. Now, we know that he was acquitted, but nevertheless, there were significant allegations that were brought against him. Now, he's not the only one. There's actually a whole history of allegations being brought forward against Gymnastics Canada and the way that abuses have taken place and the way that complaints have been handled. And so my curiosity is this. As an organization that receives substantial funding from Sports Canada, I'm wondering if there's ever been a phone call from them or accountability in any way when these complaints have come forward from athletes.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the question was again.
Sure. So when complaints come forward from athletes, such as a letter being written or a news article being published with regards to Gymnastics Canada and abuses that are taking place within the organization, I'm wondering if your organization has ever received a phone call from Sports Canada or any accountability.
I don't know that we've received a phone call from Sport Canada. I'm newly in my position, and I can find that information and get back to you.
Ms. Smith, you're new to the organization in this current role as chair. You just stepped in a couple of months ago, but you've actually been on the board for quite some time. As a board member, did it ever come to your attention that Sport Canada had reached out to the organization and that there was any accountability?
I've been on the board since September of 2022, and I am not aware of Sport Canada calling us on this particular topic. Again, I can find out more information and get back to you.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you very much. I appreciate you agreeing to that. I'm going to pass it off to my colleague for his questions.
Oui, merci aux témoins d'être ici avec nous.
Thank you to the witnesses for being here. Ms. Smith, you know that your sport, gymnastics, is where there are the most complaints of abuse amongst all sports. And you have assumed a major role in your organization. What is your vision for the future? How are you going to be able to change this culture that exists now within your federation?
I'm sorry, can I get an English translation?
Yes, it's in the bottom of, you see the globe? I'm sorry, I should have pointed that out. Stop the clock, please. The little globe on your right. If you press that, if you look at the little globe, it'll go English or French.
Yes.
Okay. That would be the same for you too, Sail Canada. Okay. Mr. Martel, just say a couple of words in French.
12345. 12345. Hello, ma'am. I would like to ask a question to Ms. Smith.
Everything is right?
Go ahead, Mr.
Okay,
Martel.
merci,
We'll,
Monsieur Chair. Oui, merci.
Thank you very much, Chair. Ms. Smith, you know that gymnastics is the sport where there are most complaints of abuse and ill treatment more than any other, and you've assumed a very important position as Chair. What's your vision to change this culture and to change the current situation in your federation?
Yes, we have done much in this respect. As I've said, we've hired Dr. Casey Neely to work as our Safe Sport Director, and she is implementing some processes and education. We also have signed on to OSIC. There's an entire complaint management process that is in place. I did outline a number of them while I was speaking. Is there something more specific that you're looking for?
Bien, moi, ce que
Well, I'd like to know how are you going to verify or check what kind of a relationship there is between a coach and an athlete over a number of years, and do you have a system of complaints? What will be the way of undertaking the necessary controls and supervision? What are you planning in that regard?
So a lot of this is with respect to education. Gymnastics Canada, our Safe Sport Framework, has 3 pillars: policy, education, and advocacy. And education is a big part of that. We're educating the athletes, we're educating the coaches, we're educating parents so that they are aware of any inappropriate behavior. And we've made it very easy for people to come and report to us. This may be why we're seeing a number of cases, because we have made it very easy to come and report cases to us, as opposed to another organization that may put up barriers against reporting safe sport issues. And so they appear to be a safer area than we are.
And the coach who was trying to win medals and have the athlete succeed, when the coach doesn't do that in the right way, is there any follow-up? Do you look into it? And do you think that sometimes they're doing the right thing, sometimes they're kind of missing the mark? Or is it a case where there's the first incident, then it's over, he's finished?
Oh, no. What we do is it's independently sent to case management. Case management evaluates what is the complaint, whether it's what steps should be happening afterwards, and they may recommend expulsion or suspension, or it may come back as a question of education because the coach is perhaps using inappropriate language, for example. So the independent case management comes back with recommendations, and we follow those recommendations.
Okay, la dernière question.
My last question. The Gymnasts for Change have talked about rape of children and the psychological trauma and how would Gymnastics Canada respond to these kinds of situations?
Absolutely. We recognize that psychological trauma is a form of harm, and we do offer psychological help for anyone who has been through an abusive situation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martel. We'll move to the Liberal Party for 6 minutes. Mr. Housefather, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Ms. Smith, if a coach is suspended or terminated by Gymnastics Canada, or Gymnastics Canada becomes aware that a club throughout the country has done so because the coach has been alleged to have abused someone, do you have a national register that is available to all clubs that are part of the Gymnastics Canada family?
Yes, we do.
And is it available now on your website?
It is available. I'm not sure if it's on our website, but I can find that information for you.
Okay, I would encourage you. Other sports federations have started putting that on their websites, and I think it would be a good practice. Mr. Adams, is that I don't know if CL Canada actually has any coaches who have been suspended or terminated for these type of allegations, but do you have a national register of coaches?
We do, yes, and we had one case back in 2014, and that coach was banned for life.
And would that be available to everybody on your website so that nobody would be erroneously? I see Mr. McGregor nodding, so I assume that's the case?
Yes.
Perfect. I have a question for you. I don't like getting into disciplinary questions, but you've had a very public issue recently where you terminated Lisa Ross, and I just have a few questions about that. Would it be true that when Ms. Ross was terminated in March, she was the only coach in the high performance group of 9 that was a woman?
She was the only woman, but we don't have a high performance group of 9. We have 3 national coaches that are male, and we have 3 contract coaches that are male. Each of those positions are tied into a particular funding source, so that as you know, the Own the Podium funds certain groups. That particular funding. Some coaches are tied to some Own the Podium funding, some are to Sport Canada funding, some are tied to other funding partners that we have.
But basically, they all come from your budget. I mean, basically, you're funded. The funding from Own the Podium or Sports Canada doesn't tell you hire a coach X with this money.
Yes, they do. We have to, with Own the Podium, we have to say this particular coach is going to be coaching this particular athlete, and we have a mutual agreement that this is the right coach for this athlete. And that funding is tied to that coach. And let's get there. Was Ms. Ross, you're saying she was tied to a specific funding? We've spoken to Sports Canada. They've said that there has not been a cut in your funding at this point. And there's every expectation that funding will be continued next year. What fund was she tied to? Because you've stated, so let me start again. You stated publicly that she was cut due to funding. So yes. Can we agree that she was not cut due to performance issues? Yes.
Okay. What specific funding that was cut was she tied to?
It wasn't funding that was cut. The gender equity funding, which was in place when we hired Lisa in 2020, was sunset in 2021. So that was a gender equity fund. We were allowed to, that was promoting women in sport, which is a very crucial issue. We had funding for that program. We had a line item that said we could fund this particular coach as a high performance coach.
But has that funding in 2021, 2022 been cut?
It's been sunset, whatever you call it in terms of government.
It's been sunset, but the funding is still there.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
So you stopped getting the money. You don't. When did you stop getting that money?
We stopped getting that money at the end of the fiscal year 2022. We kept Lisa on for another year through some other funding that we were able to get, again, through the government funding, which was called the Return to Sport funding. So we had a line item there that also said we want to continue the position of a female coach. Mm-hmm. That funding, again, wasn't cut, but it is not available this current year. So we had to make the decision.
Would you be able to provide to the committee in writing just what funding you're saying that she was tied to and what was cut?
Yes.
Because it seems strange based on the information I had. So then basically, let me just continue on. She alleges that she told you that she was pregnant on the 8th of March and she was terminated 9 days later. Is that true?
It was true that she told us she was pregnant, and we did the formal termination, but the decision to terminate Lisa was made in February.
I saw that. Who was the lawyer you consulted in February to discuss her termination?
Well, we consulted I consulted first with an Ontario lawyer, a female Ontario lawyer. She said because this contract was negotiated with Lisa
in Nova Scotia. You need to discuss a Nova Scotia lawyer.
So then we found a Nova Scotia lawyer, Megan Thompson, another female. We have records to show that as of, I contacted her on February the 17th. She gave me.
I understand. I get it. I saw your statement that you spoke to a lawyer before. It's Megan Thompson in Nova Scotia. Did you rediscuss with her after you were informed that she was pregnant? Did you reconfirm with the lawyer that you talked to in Nova Scotia that the termination remained permissible, given that discrimination based on pregnancy is a violation of human rights acts, etc.? Did you reconfirm with your lawyer that she could be terminated at that point?
I did, and because we had already made the decision and it was for financial reasons, we were told that we still had the right to terminate that position because there was no funding for that position and we didn't have the funding in our budget. So
thanks.
Yes,
if you would just give us in writing that the funding so that we could better understand that. I think, Mr. Chair, my time is probably up.
I can give you a
Sure,
little
I can
more
do that.
time. Go ahead, Mr. Housefather.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess my last question on that, and I do understand, of course, it's not that Sail Canada, has many allegations against it, and I don't want to again make allegations. For all my understanding, you're a very well-run sports federation for the size that you are. I do think that, of course, symbolically, this was a major issue, and I do encourage your board to look at the question of having a woman coach, for high performance athletes, and how you might be able to, reverse the bad publicity you got with that decision. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Housefather. Mr. Lemire for 6 minutes from the Bloc Party, and we welcome Mr. Viz for the Conservatives joining us now. But go ahead, Mr. Lemire.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm going to start with a point of order. Why is the report from Schiller and the lawyers being provided? You were asked to provide that, and I don't think that you have provided with it. There was a letter from the clerk. But this is a procedure that must be undertaken, and so that we can receive these types of documents as quickly as possible. Thank you very much, Ms. Smith. With Ms. Smith again, I'd like to ask a question on the role of Cal Billis within Gymnastics Canada.
The role of what?
Cal Ballas.
Oh, previously, Carl worked as, I believe he is a high performance director at Gymnastics Canada.
Because I believe that it was him that would have that allowed the coach Butler to come back into Gym Can, even though he was let go from a gymnastics club because of inappropriate behavior with a 13-year-old gymnast. And there's the Alex Barton and Jill Mizuno with regard to the women's team. Mr. Arsenault was arrested in 2017, and there were concerns about his work with female athletes, and this there was no action taken with regard to these events. Why was there nothing done at Gymnastics Canada?
Mr. Arsenault is currently suspended as a coach from Gymnastics Canada and in Alberta, where he resides.
I'd also like to ask about the role of Ms. Preston Kerr, who was a manager for cases of abuse. She was responsible for the well-being of the athletes, and there have been many reports that she ignored situations, problematic situations. What was her role within Gymnastics Canada?
Dr. Kerr previously worked as a case manager. She also worked in other volunteer situations in Gymnastics Canada. She is currently not doing any work for Gymnastics Canada as a volunteer or as a paid person.
Est-ce qu'elle est toujours...
Is she still an employee of Gymnastics Canada?
No, she is not an employee of Gymnastics Canada.
Donc, je comprends qu'elle a...
So she resigned. Why did she resign?
I don't know if Dr. Kerr has been an employee of Gymnastics Canada. She was not an employee when I joined the board. She is not currently an employee. As I said, she has done volunteer work in the past. She has worked as a case manager, and I do not know whether or not that work was paid, but she is not an employee of Gymnastics Canada.
My next question for Mr. Adams. I'd like to hear you on the situation of women within SAIL Canada. How many women coaches are there within the national team coaching staff?
Currently, we have one contract woman coaching our top level athletes. We have other up and coming female coaches coming through the system that are more of a at the provincial level, but we are engaging them in training camps and other projects that we're working with our provincial partners on to give them more experience and develop their skills. But we currently have one contract female coach.
Vous avez
you fired Ms. Ross because you didn't receive money from Sport Canada. Did you ask to receive information or support from gender diversity programs to add her to perhaps to her to as a professional, as a permanent employee because of her competencies?
She was a full-time employee at the time, but no, we did not seek outside of the legal advice, if I understood your question properly. But she was a full-time employee that we terminated for financial reasons. Again, just because of our budget situation where we had to make a number of cuts going into this fiscal year.
Il apparaît avoir une...
And there seems to be a contradiction where you say that you didn't have money to pay her, but the person that replaced her was paid a higher salary, and obviously it would appear that she was fired because she was pregnant. Can you say that that's true, or is it not true?
Well, there's two things that are false in that. One was that because of our financial situation, we terminated Lisa's contract, which has cost us, in terms of which her salary, benefits, and travel, about $120,000 per year. We've contracted a female coach to provide similar services for $20,000 a year. So we're effectively saving about $100,000 in our budget, which really allowed us to balance our budget this year, but still provide the services that we need to provide to our athletes. And as I said before, the decision to terminate Lisa was made in February. The decision when to inform her was not, we picked a date of being March the 17th because she was doing some coaching internationally. In the meantime, we had those 2 dates. We had the termination letter. We decided that we were going to give her notice after the European Championships, which were going to take place on March the 17th. On March the 8th, she announced to us that she was pregnant. But we had the termination letter. We had all the documents in place. We made the decision between the high performance instructor and myself that the best time to do that, to have the least disruption to our team, would be March the 17th. And I say, in the meantime, she announced that she was pregnant. And, we respected that, but it had nothing to do with the termination. And we have, many practices, and we've had, within our own staff, many staff that have had maternity leave, 5 in the last 5 years. So there's no way we discriminate between women. Half of our women are, half of our staff are women. The second in command is a woman. We've had, various maternity policies. We have, one person who's just come back from maternity leave. We have one currently on maternity leave. So there is no way, absolutely no way, that this had anything, zero, to do with her pregnancy.
Okay, thank you.
All of our records would show that.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Thank you, Mr. Lemire. Ms. Smith, we've been around this table for a year. I will say this, Gymnastics Canada has had more complaints than any other sport. So that's why some of these questions have been directed to you. I know you're brand new as the chair, but we would like some answers. I've been around this table for a year, and gymnastics is right at number one for complaints. And that's why you're here today, as we are disturbed of what we have seen in the past from your organization. And so, unfortunately, we only got one round here. But let me just say, as the vice chair here today, I wasn't too happy with some of your answers. You have to come better prepared here. Safe sport that we've been studying here for a year, gymnastics is one of the sports that we are very concerned with in this country. So I will leave it at that. And our final question will go for 6 minutes to the NDP and Peter Julian. Mr. Julian.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. And I'd like to reiterate your comments to Ms. Smith. We want to see the documents that we've requested, Ms. Smith. We want Gymnastics Canada to be fully accountable. Gymnasts for Change has been extraordinarily brave in stepping forward. We've had members of that organization, including Kim Shore, testify before this committee, and Canadians are expecting answers. And I think it's fair to say that we have been very disappointed with the lack of transparency so far and the lack of responses to legitimate questions that are being asked. And this comes from all members of this committee. We want, in the same way that Hockey Canada initially was unable or unwilling to answer questions, we have the ability to ensure that we get those answers, and we want to see the organization change. I wanted to start off by asking a very simple question. Does your organization maintain a list of banned or suspended coaches?
Yes, we do.
How many are currently on it?
I don't know the number.
Do you have some sense of whether we're talking about a dozen or 100 or 5?
It's not 100. It is more than a dozen.
Could you share with us those numbers with the indication of whether these are coaches who have been banned or coaches who have been suspended, and if they've been suspended, what is the trigger to get them unsuspended?
I can share that list with you for certain.
How many?
Share that list?
Pardon me?
I would be happy to share the list with this committee.
How many complaints are you currently looking at within your organization, complaints that have been filed?
I don't know. The number of complaints are not reported to the board, but I can find that information for you.
Yes, that would be helpful as well. The nature of the complaint and how it is being investigated, that would also be very important. This information that I think Canadians need to have as well to restore confidence in the organization. And again, I would really like to commend the work of Gymnasts for Change in bringing to light many of these abusive practices and helping us as a committee to try to navigate in our recommendations that we will be bringing forward to the federal government so that we can ensure safe sports in this country, including gymnastics. I would like to move on to you, Mr. Adams. It looks very bad on Sail Canada, what happened. Could you share with us what the budget was for Sail Canada for last year and what it is for this year? Total budget.
Our total budget for this year will be, well, in terms of what we just finished, we had about a $3 million budget in total. This year, I don't have it in front of me, but I've had to cut about, and that budget last year still left us with a $150,000 deficit. I had to cut approximately $300,000 from the budget for this year in terms of balancing the budget and make the priorities, moving forward for this particular year, because we're in the year where athletes are qualifying for the Olympics and are getting those athletes qualified. That's where the focus of our funding for this year is going. And so we've had to, as I say, had to cut about $300,000 from our budget.
But no other coaches were cut?
No, as I said before, every coach that's funded, like with three national national level coaches.
Okay, I mean, this looks very bad on the organization. And I'm just going to quote from an interview that was done the CBC, where Lisa Ross says 9 days after telling Sail Canada she was pregnant, she was fired. She was in Andorra, where she'd been coaching Canadian sailors, Andorra, Italy, at the European Championships, and was about to head to Spain for more competitions and training camps. And it was a 5-minute phone call where I was fired basically without cause. If you're saying that there was a long lead up to this was something that was considered for some time, why was she in Italy heading to Spain for competitions, obviously assigned by Sail Canada? And why was her firing done by phone call?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, one was that when we made the decision, we still had some athletes that Lisa was coaching. She, her trip was already planned for Europe, the European Championships. That's why, as I mentioned before, even though the decision to terminate her was in February, we made the decision that we'd actually give her notice the moment that European Championship was over, which was March the 17th. And because she was still in Europe and we didn't want her to go on to the other competition at that point in time, we just said we arranged a phone call. We arranged the meeting on March the 17th. That was the day that we said we would give her notice. That's all the documentation that we had. So we had a meeting with her, and, please respect that this was not an easy decision. And we realize the optics don't look good. I mean, that's all part of it. But all the records will show that the decision to do this was in good faith. When I had negotiated a contract with Lisa, she demanded that the termination clause in her contract be increased from what the Nova Scotia labor laws required, which was 6 weeks. She demanded that she be given another year for every year that she worked, which I abided by. She also wanted her probationary period taken out of her contract, which I also was. But she was very clear that the funding came from the gender equity funding. I have the emails to that effect. So she knew that this position could be terminated. She negotiated a termination clause in her employment contract, which I honored and gave her the extra notice. So March the 17th was the day that we were going to notify her. We arranged a meeting with her. Very difficult. It's one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make in my 40 years involved in sport. Firing someone who had a family, who had done some service for us. But I think that, Lisa still has a career in sailing. She will be hired by other groups. she's a good coach.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adams. Yeah. We're just going to wrap it up. Ms. Smith, here's our concern as we're wrapping up our meeting here tonight. Sport Canada Governance Report Card. Gymnastics Canada placed 24th out of 62. You, as chair now, you received a grade of 0 out of 5 for board development, 1 out of 5 for conflict of interest policies, and only 3 out of 5 for dispute resolution policies. You see our concern around the board table here with Canadian Heritage? We're not happy with those marks.
Yes, absolutely. And we are taking measures to change that. As I've said to you, we are working on our diversity. We've implemented many of Minister St. Ange's recommendations. We've already implemented those, and we are also looking at strengthening other areas. As I've said during my presentation, we are a board that is looking to change. We're definitely looking for
You need to
a new
change.
future.
Mr. Housefather,
we agree with
quickly.
you.
Mr.
Chair,
Housefather.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to quickly ask if you would instruct Gymnastics Canada that they have no right to withhold documents from the committee because of legal privilege. That is not a grounds to withhold documents from the committee. Mr. Lemire had raised it briefly at the beginning of his point. I would like you to, if you wouldn't mind, instruct Gymnastics Canada that they have to deliver the documents regardless of their claim of legal privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Housefather. You heard the request, Ms. Smith. We need Gymnastics Canada to produce those documents to the committee. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? A motion to adjourn. Thank you, Michael. All right. Thank you. Bye now.